The argument centered around WWE's complete failure to create any meaningful stars in recent memory will continue to rage on until the day we actually see them follow through on one that isn't called Roman Reigns. Often it has looked as though we were finally going to see a new credible personality or monster break through, only for WWE to slip up or fluff their lines with said potential megastar and fumble their entire presentation from there on out. As always, I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 times WWE tried to present someone as a credible threat and failed miserably. Number 10, Vladimir Kozlov. Make no bones about it, Vladimir Kozlov was all business when he first appeared on the scene, and he went undefeated in one-on-one competition for nearly a year, with his first pinfall loss coming to Shawn Michaels in a winner faces The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 match on Raw. His first SmackDown singles loss then came against the Dead Man a couple of weeks later. Kozlov was rubbing shoulders with some of the titans of the industry, having been involved in world title matches and clashes with the Phenom himself. So how could his credibility suffer from here on out? Well, he was soon drafted to a flailing ECW brand, and when that show sunk, he was coupled with Santino Marella. Top Hat, comedy, and dance-offs followed, and a once imposing figure was relegated to the rank of laughable sidekick. If they just allowed Kozlov to take on a big name at WrestleMania 25, and perhaps even win a world title, we could be talking about him in the same vein as Kane or Goldberg. Instead, the rug was pulled from under him after he'd been fed to HBK and Taker on the road to WrestleMania 25. And it was all downhill from there. Number 9, Lord Tensai. Under his new formidable Lord Tensai persona, a returning Matt Bloom initially hit the ground running and scored memorable victories over John Cena and CM Punk early into his 2012 re-emergence. Unfortunately, Cena crapped all over his winning streak in the end, and the first few cracks in Lord Tensai's armor started to appear. WWE then chickened out of the gimmick, and had Bloom delete his Lord title, along with his Japanese outfit which he wore during his distinct entrance. This then led to Tensai losing a lot more matches going forward, and before long he was thrown into a comedy act with Santino Marella. That's 2 for 2! Luckily, Bloom was able to rediscover some respect later down the line by sitting atop the mentorship ladder in the revamped NXT Performance Center. However, you can't help but feel as though WWE missed a trick by not allowing him to maintain his momentum, and denying him the chance to go on a memorable tear through the roster. What could have been, huh? Number 8, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman redefined his monstrous character in the wake of the 2016 brand split, and became one of Monday Night Raw's headline attractions for a year or two. Yet, just when the time seemed right to pull the trigger on the monster among men, WWE got cold feet, and decided to have him leveled by then Universal Champion Brock Lesnar at No Mercy 2017. Winning tag titles with a minor and a Money in the Bank failed cash-in kept the big guy ticking over in the wake of that big loss. But this was all sadly leading to his very definite extinguishing as a legitimate main event threat. That infamous Saudi squash at the hands of the Beast Incarnate. Strowman could have been the 2020's answer to Andre the Giant. Instead, we got another bridesmaid who can't even beat up Tyson Fury in a wrestling match. Maybe Braun Strowman just shouldn't go to Saudi Arabia. Number 7, Jinder Mahal. As unexpected as a Jinder Mahal WWE title run may have seemed at the start of 2017, by May of that year it had become a very definite reality. In all fairness to WWE, they did have Mahal go over both Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura on multiple occasions during this run, albeit through dubious means. Mahal's hulking physique and sincere mean streak could have definitely been utilised more, to create an intimidating heel which didn't have to depend on the lazy, archaic America sucks gimmick and endless dodgy finishes. If WWE had just given him a bit more time, and had him involved in a few more programs which didn't centre around casual racism, he could have become a welcome addition in an ever-changing SmackDown main event scene. Of course, we all know this title reign was an obvious attempt to capitalise on the lucrative Indian market. But it's still a shame that WWE didn't feel the need to double down on Mahal as a big-time player when the fans began to revolt, and the needle didn't start to move as quickly as they'd hoped. Number 6, Bobby Lashley. A couple of years away, some newfound MMA legitimacy, and an acclaimed run inside of TNA/Impact Wrestling all helped pave the way for a return to WWE for one Bobby Lashley in 2018. McMahon had a genuine destroyer back in his hands. Someone who could realistically pose a threat to Brock Lesnar, a star capable of matching Roman Reigns spear for spear. So what did they do? Had him squash Sami Zayn in one of the worst feuds in modern wrestling history, had him flex his ass a lot, gave him a lackluster Intercontinental title run, and eventually let him draw a blank in a last man standing war against Braun Strowman at Extreme Rules 2019, before allowing him to return to WWE programming as Lana's new arm candy. MMA badass to posing with his ass to acting like an ass with Lana. Number 5, Alberto Del Rio. When Alberto Del Rio burst back onto the scene in 2015 and won the United States title from the new workhorse version of John Cena, he looked legit, and it would surely be a matter of time before he would be holding a world title once again. Sadly, WWE didn't appear to have any long-term plan for Del Rio, and instead of doubling down on him after an impressive victory over a top star upon his return, they chose to feed him to Roman Reigns at Survivor Series and shuffled him into an unimaginative faction known as the League of Nations. And we all know how that turned out. What appeared to be a second coming for the cocksure armbreaker soon became yet another limp tenure, and he wandered right back out of the company in 2016, and he now enjoys punching Tito Ortiz for realsies. Number 4, The Big Show. After signing a mammoth 10-year contract back in 1999, WWE were rightly expecting big things from the aptly renamed Big Show. Things got off to a positive enough start with the former WCW giant interfering in Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon's steel cage match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Big Show then continued on as McMahon's hired help. And though he didn't win his first ever WrestleMania match at Mania 15, he did manage to completely dismantle his opponent, Mankind, which caused the eventual DQ finish. Then after the match, McMahon slapped the Big Show, so the Mammoth Man decked the chairman and turned face. This was the beginning of the end of the Titanic athlete's credibility as a serious force in the company, as he was then beaten by the likes of the aforementioned Mankind and The Undertaker. He did go on to win his maiden WWF title soon after, but quickly dropped the title back to Triple H. A star who could have been an intimidating special attraction for years to come soon became a bit part main eventer, after being sent back down to developmental to improve his fitness. And perhaps another victim of being given too much dollar/spotlight too soon. Number 3, Gene Snitsky. When your first ever battle inside of a WWE ring involves you taking on Kane in a no DQ match, you're absolutely going to get people talking. That was definitely the case for Mr. Gene Snitsky in 2004. However, things quickly took a turn for the worse, when a steel chair shot to the back of Kane forced the Big Red Machine into falling onto his pregnant partner, Lita, causing her to miscarry. Snitsky confessed backstage that it wasn't my fault, and thus went from eerie villain to laughable creep all in one night. Snitsky could have become a vicious heel bad guy, who was hell-bent on inflicting pain on whatever and whoever came his way in the wake of that debut appearance. In the end, he just became a cringy walking catchphrase, and eventually a bald, glorified filler opponent for stars who were destined for bigger things. Number 2, Nathan Jones. Nathan Jones was originally pitched as a Hannibal Lecter-esque character, and on paper at least, it was looking as though he was about to eat his way through the competition. Not literally, you'd hope. Yet that idea was nixed upon his actual debut in 2003, and instead he was booked as The Undertaker's apprentice. So with that kind of guidance, Jones had to be seen as a future main event star waiting to happen, and a WrestleMania 19 match pitting the pair against The Big Show and A-Train, two of this list's alumni I'll just say, would unquestionably act as Jones's coming out party. Only, much like his previous character choice, that match was scrapped at the last minute, and shifted into being a handicap match. Jones had been dropped from the bout and was then shipped off to OVW for further training. A place on Brock Lesnar's 2003 Survivor Series team was about as good as it ever got for the Australian, and he hung up his boots soon after. Built like an absolute beast he may have been, but he was never given the foundations or support necessary to prove a hit in the land of the giants. Number 1, Bray Wyatt, twice! After breaking out onto the main roster in 2013, Bray Wyatt and his Wyatt family felt like the fresh new blood which the company were in dire need of in the midst of one of their most barren creative periods. However, after losing to Super Cena at Mania 30, his aura as the Eater of Worlds was tarnished. Wyatt's fear factor had gone, and this all eventually led to a forced exile off the back of a torrid WWE title run and the Leaders of Worlds partnership with Matt Hardy. As a newly reborn kids TV show host / fiend, Wyatt then revitalized himself in 2019 and became the hottest property in the company, disposing of legends and top stars like Finn Balor with ease. A Universal title eventually came into his possession, off the back of an ill-advised Hell in a Cell massacre, and the world was once again at the exquisite performer's feet. Then, big bald Bill Goldberg turned up to spear his way through the party at Super Showdown 2020. Redemption beckons for Wyatt at Mania 36 in his match versus John Cena, but it may be too little too late for this one-time jolt of lightning in a bottle, and his days as a credible threat may be over once and for all. And that's our list. Know of any other times that WWE tried to present someone as a credible threat and failed miserably? Let us know all about them in the comments section right down below. And do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button and ring the bell while you're at it. Also, head on over to whatculture.com and click on some more awesome articles just like this one. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you very, very, very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.